The guest is able to be fully immersed in what they're doing, and they can interact with their friends or loved ones. They can also drink on the course, but they don't have to keep up with scoring, and they're not allowed to cheat because we track everything that they do. And then we couple that tech-enabled game experience with high-end casual dining, food and beverage offering, which has driven a great experience so far.
Hello and welcome from the sidelines of the ICR 2025 conference here in Orlando, Florida. I'm Jarrett Banks, Editor-at-Large of Exec Edge. Joining me today is Logan Powell, the CEO of Puttshack. Logan, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
For those who aren't familiar, tell us a little bit about Puttshack.
Sure. So Puttshack started with our first venue opening in West London in 2018. It was started by Steve and Dave Jolliffe, who are the founders of Trackaball. We don't have any affiliation otherwise. But we had our first venue there. It is a tech-enabled mini golf business, so we have proprietary technology that's in the golf balls that tracks everything that you do, so it knows the difference between you hitting the ball and the ball hitting other things on the course. You're trying to get the highest score possible. We have opportunities to earn bonus points, and then we also have opportunities to lose points, and it can be a pretty competitive game. I'm very competitive myself, and so it can be very competitive with the guests. But because of the technology, the guest is able to be fully immersed in what they're doing, and they can interact with their friends or loved ones. They can also drink on the course, but they don't have to keep up with scoring, and they're not allowed to cheat because we track everything that they do. And then we couple that tech-enabled game experience with high-end casual dining, food and beverage offering, which has driven a great experience so far.
What sets Puttshack apart from the traditional entertainment space?
Sure. So the technology is one of the biggest things that sets us apart. As I described the golf ball technology, it's all proprietary, but we also have developed a unique booking system on our own. The inventory management system for the game is all proprietary for us as well, and there's a whole load of other technology that's on our own. So we really feel like the tech sets us apart. A lot of operators in our space will tend to either just focus on the game or just focus on the food and beverage, and we try and have a pretty equal balance on those. The golf itself is what drives the guests to come to our stores, but we have to have a really strong food and beverage offering paired with that to keep them coming back. So we really continue to focus on technology. It's our largest division by far within the business, and we continue to come up with new innovations on that front.
Now you've been with the company since its first year, previously as CFO, now CEO. What's changed over those years?
Sure. So yeah, I joined when we had our first store. First store had been open a little under a year. We've opened 19 since then, and went through a pandemic and survived. So that certainly changed. But we've definitely grown very rapidly. But I think we've got a lot of great data and guest feedback now on what the guest really enjoys, what we could potentially be doing different. And I think we've seen, continued changes in the food and beverage space, I think, unsurprisingly. One of the trends we're seeing, and I think others are seeing as well, is more of a shift away from alcohol to non-alcoholic drinks and needing to have the zero proof and mocktail offerings, which we certainly offer, and we want to continue to be ahead of the curve on that. And then we're continuing to see, I think those that stand out in the space tend to have a really strong technology offering in the background, which is obviously still a key focus for us. So.
Now you hit a milestone in the fourth quarter with your 20th venue. What do you attribute that success to?
We've got a fantastic team around me, for sure. So, the team really drives all the success there. I think we've had a lot of really strong offering. Again, the mini golf is accessible to everybody, and that's one of the things that drew me to the business originally. Was my kids can go play, they can bring their grandparents to go play, and then everybody else in between can play. And so I think the accessibility and the familiarity of mini golf resonates with pretty much everybody. And I think, again, the team around us is fantastic, and we feel like we've got the best team in the space.
What are you seeing in terms of consumer demand? You mentioned the family aspect, but it's also more than that, right?
For sure. Yeah. So in our venues, we have families during the day, and we'll have corporate business during the day, but we transition into 21 and up only 8 p.m. and after, which is a pretty seamless transition. You'll see the lights change, and the music and the vibe will change overall. We tend to be in areas where that younger adult crowd is going to be going out at night and wanting to spend time. We're a real hot spot for date nights, and so we continue to see that evolving, and we really drive the younger adult crowd into the business.
Now, technology is a big part of this. You talked about that a little bit, but tell us more about Trackaball and Challenge Hole.
Sure. So the Trackaball, as I mentioned, tracks everything that you do within the venue. We've developed that all in-house. We have a really great technology stack behind that with wireless charging and Bluetooth technology that allows us to operate that ball. We made a conscious decision a long time ago that we wanted to stay focused on mini golf rather than bringing other opportunities into the store. So we wanted to develop a product where you could eat, drink, and play all in one location. So on our traditional 9-hole game, you can drink and play, but you can't eat. So the challenge hole product is effectively a mini golf bay or a suite that takes up about 80 square feet, including in addition to some food and beverage space, where you stay in one location, you book it for 90 minutes, and you have some proprietary games that we've developed. So one of my favorites is called Duck Shoot, which is effectively like duck hunt for mini golf. So you've got the ducks moving across the screen, you're trying to hit them as fast as you can. You play it for about a minute, then you're swapping them out in players, and it's a lot of fun. But one of the great things about that is we can continue to develop games, which we're going to be launching some new ones later this year, to the challenge hole, and we can push it all out remotely from the cloud. So we don't have to go back and retrofit anything in the store, but we can continue to refresh that guest experience kind of in real time anytime we want to. So another reason for the guest to come back. So
How are you approaching innovation on an ongoing basis?
Sure. So our team on the innovation side, I think, is bar none the best in the industry. I'm very biased, but I believe that strongly. They've been with us from the get-go. They're mainly based in the UK, and they come up with what I call the fun of the business, all the new game, the new concepts. We have some new traditional 9-hole model golf holes that are going to be coming out that they've been working on. And then again, as I mentioned, we've got new challenge hole games coming. The challenge hole has been very successful, and so we have that in our one location in Dallas, which was large enough to hold it. You'll see that coming out in newer locations as we go. And we're also going to potentially be looking at retrofitting, putting those back into other venues.
Let's talk a little bit about your menu. What are the top sellers in food and beverage?
Sure. So we have a very robust, called globally inspired cuisine, heavy on the shareables, flatbreads, handhelds as well. One of the kind of key highlights at every venue is we have an offering called the Tailpipes, which is effectively a higher end spring roll. Every local market has those flavors tailored to that market. So like in Boston, as an example, we have a lobster mac and cheese fill, which is really good. That offering, we call it our give back item. So our local teams have the ability to choose a local charity that we give part of the proceeds back on the sales for those. And it really ties us into the community and allows us to get involved there. My favorite cocktail is the spiced pineapple mezcal margarita. It has a jalapeno in-house made popsicle that melts and diffuses into the drink, so it gets spicier the longer you take to drink it. It's fantastic.
That sounds good. Last question here. What can we expect to see in 2025?
Sure. So we've got 3 more venues opening this year, a second Chicago area location, a second Minneapolis area location, and then one just outside of Fort Lauderdale and Dania Beach. So we've got 3 stores coming online this year. We've got continued innovation that we'll be announcing some big updates on here shortly from a technology perspective that we're really excited about. And then we're continuing to come up with new games all the time and really try to focus on the guest experience at the venues.
Great. I'll have to try out that new Chicago location.
Yeah, it'd be great.
This has been Logan Powell, the CEO of Puttshack. I'm Jarrett Banks, signing off from Orlando.